on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, look, I know it's been a good few days. I know. I'm sorry, guys. I get busy. Hopefully, the shorts keep you a little bit entertained. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about an interesting topic here because I've had to cover a couple of different bases just to make sure that I can actually get this little list together. So, 3 great starter handguns. Now, when I had to go through this list, I had to talk about a couple of different things. I had to talk about reliability. I had to talk about use. I had to talk about price point. Because in the end, the majority of people who are buying their first handgun, they're probably not planning on dropping $600, $700, $800+ on it. So I decided, you know what? For this video in particular, we're at least going to keep the price point under $400. I think that's fair. The majority of people, again, are not wanting to spend a ton of money on their first handgun. So I think under $400 is a fair price point here. For starters, we'll start at what is my least favorite out of the 3, the Taurus G2C. Now, and you guys can see it is clear. We are clear. Now, this has been a tried and true carry of mine. You can actually tell by all the wear on the slide that this was definitely carried a lot. 12+1 capacity can take the G3 mag, so 15+1 capacity. And there are other aftermarket mags also that have a much higher capacity if you really want to. But the standard magazine capacity is 12+1 in the chamber. It is a striker fire handgun with a manual safety on the side right here, as you can see. Do I ever use the manual safety, or have I ever used the manual safety? When I was carrying it, no, I never used the manual safety, ever. I just looked at it as an extra step that I didn't want to have to deal with. However, what I can say is that while I do have it stored, at least while I have had it stored for the last couple of months, because I've had it stored with a round in the chamber, I have had the manual safety on. But overall, you can find them for about $200. That's pre-tax, that's pre-fees. It's not a bad gun if it's going to be your first gun. You know, you just want to start off with something that, hey, I can get a little bit better at shooting with this. I can carry this. I can use this possibly as home defense. You know, upgrade later. This would be a phenomenal starter gun for you, especially the price point. Now, I can say the only reliability issue that I've ever had with this firearm is one day after a big range day. I've actually talked about this before on the channel. I put like 300-400 rounds to this thing just to beat it up. Because I'm like, dude, it's a $200 gun. What happens if I beat it up? Oh, no. And the recoil spring and guide rod, I guess from me shooting so much, somehow it didn't get disassembled, because if you take a look here, right? So there's still tension, obviously, because the recoil spring and the guide rod is put into place. However, when I went to take it out so I could clean it, it completely just flew apart, disassembled, and I could not get all the pieces together to save my life. So be aware that after you put a good number of rounds through it, keep in mind there's been well over 1,000 rounds put through this G2C here, you might need to replace some parts. You get what you pay for. However, I will also say by the time you put over 1,000 rounds through this gun, I do expect you to get a newer gun, a better gun. But for a starter gun, for your first gun, Taurus G2C, great option. Now, moving on, we are clear. You guys can see that. That was very awkward because I couldn't see, I couldn't see my own angle there. But the PSA dagger, any of the daggers really are pretty good, whether it's the full size like I have right here, I have the full size S, whether it's the compact, whether it's the micro dagger, all of them are pretty good. They're just a okay Glock clone. Now, am I saying the dagger is a bad gun? Not at all. I've carried this gun for a good long while. I've actually used this gun even at work. I've passed shooting qualifications with my PSA dagger multiple times, just iron sights, no dot, no light on it, no anything special. Right out of the box. Holding at least my full-size one holds a 17+1 capacity, if not more. I can, of course, put the 33-round stick magazine in it, as you guys have seen before. Extremely reliable, especially for it being a $300 Glock clone, guys. $300 and you can get this bad boy. I mean, probably even less at this point, to be honest, because when I bought this gun was 2023. I bought the frame for 80 bucks. I spent like $220 on the complete slide, and boom, got a complete dagger, 300 bucks. You can probably get it for a little bit cheaper, though, to be honest. Has a better trigger than a Glock does, I guess some could say. However, it's just, I don't know, it's a little too spongy for my liking. The reset on it isn't bad, but it's just a little bit too spongy of a trigger for my liking. That's just my personal thought on it, though. However, it is a phenomenal gun. Very reliable, pretty accurate. I mean, I put over 1,200 rounds through this gun in particular right here. So I can at least vouch for its reliability and say that the gun does work. I think I've had one malfunction with it after 1,200 plus rounds, and that's including range ammo, meaning ammo that I find while I'm on the range. So some of these rounds already have light strikes in them. They've already been found to kind of be dud rounds, and they still ran through the dagger. So moving on, though, after 1,200 rounds, I can truly say that for $300, if you're going to get a PSA dagger as your first handgun, you're not at a disadvantage. I mean, yes, it's not a Glock. However, you are not at a disadvantage. These things are pretty freaking reliable, especially if you take care of them. I think I cleaned mine every 500 rounds. That was it. Like, maybe since owning it, I've probably cleaned it about 4 times. You know, and every time I pull that trigger, it goes boom. So I can vouch for the reliability of it. I can vouch for PSA's customer service as well. Phenomenal customer service. However, though, just not my favorite on the list. However, another gun that I have carried, and it's tried and true, 100% reliable. Now, number one on this list, number one is going to ruffle some feathers here. There's a couple of reasons why, though, I choose number one. So as you guys can see, chamber is clear, no mag in the magwell. This is my Gen 3 Glock 23. Now, some people might be wondering, why on earth would you choose a Gen 3 Glock as your number one option as a great starter handgun? Well, this doesn't just cover specifically the Model 23. However, I think this can cover the majority of Gen 3 models, especially since they have dropped down a lot in price. If you look hard enough, you can find a Gen 3 19 for 400 bucks. If you look hard enough, you can find a Gen 3 17 for 400 bucks. If you look hard enough, actually, you don't even have to look hard at all. You can find Gen 3 23s, Gen 3 22s, also for like 300 bucks, let alone 400. But you see what I mean? Gen 3 Glocks are the most reliable generation out there. They are the most proven. They have the longest track record. And while a lot of people have some complaints about them, like, oh, the trigger's not that great, this, that, the third, it's nothing that you can't get over. When I tell you that this firearm in particular has been beaten, abused, not even just by me, because when I bought this wasn't brand new. I bought it used. So let that say something here. This gun has been beaten and abused by multiple different people, and it still runs. Nothing will stop this gun from running pretty much, other than if I throw a 10 mil in here. And with how 10 mil is loaded, sometimes it just depends on which round of 10 mil. You know what I mean? Like, overall, you have a lot of good options here. And let's say you can't find any Gen 3 9 mil Glocks, and you really want a Gen 3 9 mil Glock, buy a Gen 3 Glock 23 or Glock 22, a 40 caliber, and then you get my 9 mil barrel, and then you swap out extractors. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. There's really nothing else you have to do. You got a 9 mil Glock then for like $300-400 bucks at most. But with that being said, I do think that about wraps it up for this video. I mean, guys, if you're looking for 3 really great starter handguns, I think you got them right here. I mean, yes, you know, I did have to start from the low end all the way up to the highest end of the 3, but Taurus G2C, not a bad option, especially if you only have like 200 bucks to your name. Not a bad option. Pretty reliable, at least from my experience with it. I haven't heard too many people say otherwise. Pretty good carry gun, very easy to conceal. It does come with an accessory rail for you to attach a light or a light and laser to it. Can be helpful for home defense, but not a bad option if this is all you can afford. The PSA dagger, while you move up a tiny bit in cost, about $100, you do get much better features with it than you do the Taurus G2C. You get a better trigger. You get, honestly, even though these are just blackout sights, these are still better than the Taurus sights in my opinion. They're just the 3-dot sights, and honestly, not too big of a fan of those in my personal opinion. But regardless, though, you get a better trigger, you get a better capacity, you get more aftermarket availability because it is a Glock clone. It takes all Glock parts. And then if you go up at most another $100 up to the $400 price point, which I said we would keep it all $400 and below, guys. Remember that. I did say that. You get the majority of Gen 3 Glocks. Reliability at its peak. I'm just saying, guys, I understand some people only got a couple $100 to their name. Cool. You have an option. If you can save up, though, and just get another $100, $150, the dagger, a Gen 3 Glock, much better options in my opinion. But with that being said, I do think that about wraps it up for this video. I don't want to keep going in circles here. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all and. Whether or not you agree with me about my thoughts on these 3 starter handguns, whether or not you agree if they're good starter handguns, great starter handguns, not so good, horrible even, go ahead and comment your thoughts down below. Make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.